Yo guys, what's up and welcome back to the second episode of my team career mode. Today we are racing in Bahrain. What I've done is I've skipped through qualifying since nothing actually exciting happened in qualifying. I qualified P15 pretty straightforward. I was P13 in Q1 and back in P15 in Q2. My best lap time was at a 127.5, which I think is my time trial on 2019 as well. So I did not improve much over there. But there are few key changes that I've made to the pattern going forward in my team career mode, which is I have turned off ABS as well. So there are no assists apart from racing line that is visible in the corners. Apart from that, I'll be using no assists going forward. And I've also bumped up the difficulty to 101, which is at ultimate difficulty. The AI level in Codemaster F1 games is usually from 0 to 110, and that pattern has been carried over to F1 2020 as well. So we will be racing against 101 AI in ultimate difficulty at Bahrain, which we already know that the AI is very OP over here. It's extremely OP in Bahrain, and we will give it our best shot. So I think it's time now for lights out. Now, in terms of race strategy, we will be going for the default race strategy, but we will bump up the fuel to 15 laps, which was by default at 14.5 laps, so that we can push a bit more in rich fuel mix. And it's lights out, and away we go. And it's initially a good getaway for us in the first and second gear in comparison to Juventus on the right, but we do bog down the third gear and get a slight tap from Kvyat in the AlphaTauri from behind us. But over here we lock up on the front, left and right, the double lock up, but we send it down the outside of Giovinazzi, Stroll, Perez and Gasly over there and bump ourselves up to P11 from P15 in a matter of 2 turns. But we get a horrible exit out of that turn in comparison to Perez over there, who has caught up to us in the second DRS straight and is side by side with us on the on turn number 4. But we somehow managed to hold our position over there and keep Perez at bay for another corner. But what we see is that Ocon has gotten a bit away from us because of that scuffle with Perez over there. And as we reach the downhill left-hander, we find that Perez is comfortably behind us and we are behind Ocon. But that lockup on the front left has actually bogged us down again, and Ocon takes a huge stride ahead of us and just leaps forward. And so for now, we are stuck in P11 behind Ocon and ahead of Perez and Stroll in the racing point. But then towards the end of lap number 2, you can see that Perez is catching up behind us on the back straight just before the home straight and is right up my gearbox and has taken the inside line. I tried to squeeze into the inside, but I've run out of ERS and we try to outbrake him but lock up on the front right. But we somehow still are ahead of him before entering the home straight. But we get a horrible exit on the home straight. Our ERS is depleted for the lap. We have no ERS, and both the racing points, Perez and Stroll, have gotten ahead of us before turn 1. But we stick to the inside and somehow just manage to get hold of one of the racing points before exiting the second turn. But Perez has gotten ahead of us. But we do get the DRS on the back straight due to Perez being within 1 second of us. But that proves no advantage because Stroll is right behind the back, and I lock up again on the front right and get horrible traction out of this corner, which just makes my car so wobbly and I could barely hold it in. On to lap 4 then. Stroll is still behind us, but we lock up on the front right again on this corner, and that leads to Stroll being beside us for the downhill left-hander where we lock up every time in every lap. And we still stick to the inside, and Stroll locks up and is actually out of the track, causing yellow flags in that sector. There was absolutely no contact over there. Stroll just locked up of his own accord, couldn't stop his car in time, so that means we still hold on to P12 for the time being. But then again, towards the end of this lap, I again lock up on the front right. ABS off is not working for me, and I get a horrible exit again onto the main straight. And the AlphaTauri of Gasly is right up behind my back. He has DRS and has his ERS on overtake mode, and just fakes to the left and goes to the right, and is actually ahead of me again on the home straight, just like those racing points. But I outbrake him this time. I lock up on the front right, but I make the move stick, and I'm ahead of Gasly, still on track. And on to sector number 3 and lap number 5, our lockfest just keeps on continuing. That ABS off is actually not at all working for us, and Gasly's catching up to us, but we see that yellow flags behind us. Someone has come off, and I believe it's one of the AlphaTauris, and it is Danny Kvyat of the other AlphaTauri, which has come off in sector number 3. Let's see on board with him what happened to him. Oh, it's a mechanical issue. There has been no collision. It's just a mechanical issue that has actually caused him to retire from this race. And he held up the two Alfa Romeos behind him for good measure. Anyways, back on board with us. We are at the end of lap number 5 now. We are supposed to pit at the end of lap number 6. As usual, we lock up on the front right on the last corner, but we move to the extreme right, almost at the pit entry, to make sure that Gasly does not get a toe off of us. But to no avail, Gasly does get a toe off of us, and he is beside us by the end of home straight. We outbrake him, but lock up as we usually do, but we still do make the move stick and are ahead of him by the end of that corner. On to lap number 6, and as you can see that it's a very close battle between me and Gasly behind me, so we are jostling for position here, but we are somehow managing to keep him at bay. And you can see that Gasly has pit right behind us to make sure that neither of us can pull the undercut over each other, and we are in the pits together. Now it's time for the pit crew. Let's see what they can do for us. And it's a great pit stop by the crew at Primal Racing, a 2.2 pit stop, and we have successfully kept Gasly behind us exiting the pits. Neither of us have lost any time to each other, and we try to get a leap forward when we exit the pits. But Gasly's 101 Ultimate AI has decided to not back off and is right off my gearbox every single lap. But by lap 12, unfortunately, we have run out of tires, and he closes up to us in the main straight like he has in every lap since lap number 5. And this time goes around the outside, leaves us very little room, squeezes us to the apex, and has gotten the move done. And what's even more unfortunate is that by the end of lap 14, where we are really struggling with tires, not only do we not catch up with Gasly, but we have fallen prey to Grosjean behind us, and he is trying to put a move on us on the inside. He tries to go around the inside, but we squeeze into the apex, we leave him very little room, lock up for good measure as we've always done, and he is ahead of us in sector 2, but we will overbreak him and we get the move in place and make sure that he cannot follow up again. But as was the case in Australia, we do end up outside the points. It was a P11 for us last episode in Australia, but in this outing at Bahrain, where we knew the AI would be OP and we did increase the AI level to 101 as opposed to 100 over there, ABS was turned off, so I'm not too disappointed with this result. P13 is still okay, but not where we would want to be. But the fact that it was a great battle between me and Gasly and initially between me and Perez and me and Stroll actually made this race more fun and even more exciting than the initial round at Australia. Now we will go ahead and see how many resource points we have accumulated so that we can purchase some more upgrades for the team, and let's see where in which direction do we want to actually head to. Here we are at the headquarters then, and we will look for the upgrades we can purchase. We will go for the front wing gurney flap and aerodynamic upgrade because we know that our car is severely lacking in aerodynamic. And we will also get a powertrain upgrade in the form of a spark plug upgrade. I know it's at par, but I still want to improve on that, and I think it's now time to go to the next race.